What's up everyone, this is Brandon from Wealth Potion and welcome back to the 5 Levels of Investing series. And today we're covering level 3, which is maximizing your tax-free accounts. Tax-free accounts are like a free money cheat code in a video game. It is literally free money that the government gives you in a sense. And if you are not using your tax-free accounts, then you are literally leaving money on the table. Or to put it another way, you are paying taxes on money that you shouldn't be paying taxes on. So today we are going to cover everything about tax-free accounts. We'll talk about what tax-free accounts are, how tax-free accounts work. We're then going to cover some examples from US and Canada, but if you're not from those countries, rest assured that most countries have tax-free accounts. Then we're going to talk about strategies you can use to maximize your tax-free accounts, and specifically which tax-free accounts I would maximize first. As a quick recap, if you've missed the previous levels of the 5 Levels Investing series, they're all linked below. Level 0 was about how to get out of debt. Level 1 was about why you shouldn't save all of your money in cash and how much money you should keep in cash. Level 2 was all about why you should avoid financial advisors, largely because of how much money they will cost you in the long run. And level 3 is all about tax-free accounts. And I know many of you, if you've watched this far in the series, you're probably wondering, why haven't we started investing yet? And it's because all of these financial concepts are like giving your character all the best skills and equipment before you take on the boss, which is investing. We will, of course, cover how to invest and what you should invest in, but understanding these fundamental building blocks will make a huge difference in how much wealth you build over your lifetime. So it's critical that we get these things right. So without further ado, let's dive in. First and foremost, what are tax-free accounts? To understand tax-free accounts, we first have to understand taxes, specifically capital gains tax. So when you invest in any asset, whether it's a house or stocks in the stock market or Bitcoin or gold or commodities and so on, you invest money, that money grows, hopefully, and then you have a gain on the money that you invested. That's also referred to as a capital gain. Unfortunately, whether we like it or not, most governments around the world tax you on those capital gains. So that's the bad news. There is a tax that we have to pay when we make money on our investments. However, what many governments have done is that they've provided their citizens with a vehicle that they can use to protect some of their investments from those capital gains. So the government creates this tax and then they give you this vehicle to protect your money from said tax. I know, it's a bit hypocritical, but that's the government for you. However, just because the government gives you these accounts does not mean that everyone is using them. In fact, the data on this is pretty scary. We're going to cover these accounts in more depth in just a moment, but just to share 2 quick examples, only 60% of Canadians contribute to their TFSA, their tax-free savings account. And in America, it's even worse. Only 23% of Americans contribute to a traditional IRA. Now, there are other accounts, as mentioned, we'll get to that in a moment, but I just want to paint a picture for you around why this topic is so important. So going back to what tax-free accounts are, as mentioned, they are a vehicle or an account that the government gives you that you can then put some of your investments in to protect it from capital gains. And these amounts will vary by account, by country, by government, but there's always a limit. And it makes sense. They don't want to give you unlimited protection from capital gains. And so generally what this looks like, and the term you're going to want to look out for when you're researching your tax-free accounts, is what's called contribution room or a contribution limit. That is telling you the amount of money that you can put into this tax-free account that the government grants you. And usually these limits are granted to you every single year. So again, 2 examples here. The Canadian TFSA grants you new contribution room every year after you turn 18. And in the US, the Roth IRA grants you new contribution room every year that you have income. So that could be before you turn 18. So it's really important to understand the rules and how much contribution room you have. Okay, so how do you do that? One way you can do that is going on your government website and reading about how these accounts work. But a more specific way to do this is you should be able to log into your government's tax website. For Canada, that would be the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency, and for the US, that would be the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. When you log into these services, there should be a clear indication of how much contribution room you have. But it's important to note that governments are delayed. They do not have real-time data, so it will likely be the contribution room you had at the beginning of the year. If you're just getting started, this doesn't really matter to you. But if you have been contributing, let's say I already started contributing in 2025, then I want to subtract that amount from whatever the government website is telling me I have in terms of contribution room. So to summarize, when you invest, you have to pay capital gains tax. The government gives you accounts that you can use to put your investments in and protect those investments from capital gains tax. And these accounts will generally have limits that often are increased every single year. If these accounts are still a bit confusing, let me explain using a very simple metaphor. Imagine you are gardening and you have an outdoor garden with all of your flower beds and your vegetable plots, and then you have a greenhouse, which is indoor, it's protected from the weather, it's protected from pests and rodents. So when you go to invest in a regular trading account, what's called a margin account, you're basically gardening outdoors. And when you go to harvest your crops or sell your investments, capital gains tax comes and takes some of your investments away. You can think of capital gains tax as bad weather and the government as pests and rodents. However, if you were to plant those same vegetables and fruits in your greenhouse where it's protected from the environment, when you go to harvest them, in other words, sell your investments, you will have more fruits and vegetables to claim. And that is exactly how tax-free accounts works. And just like a greenhouse, which has limited space, your tax-free accounts have limits to them. You can't just simply put all of your money into tax-free accounts and not pay any capital gains tax. And this is why the universal advice around tax-free accounts is to maximize them. If you have outdoor garden plots and you have a greenhouse, you should fill up your greenhouse as quickly as possible. And then you should invest or garden using the outdoor plots. To be clear, I know this analogy isn't perfect. I'm not an expert gardener. I know that there are some crops that you have to plant in a greenhouse and you have to plant outdoors. But the point is you want to maximize your greenhouse. You want to maximize your tax-free accounts as quickly as possible to minimize the amount of tax that you pay throughout your lifetime. All right, now let's quickly cover some of the tax-free accounts that you'll have available to you, whether you're an American citizen or a Canadian citizen. In the United States, some of your tax-free accounts include the Roth IRA, the traditional IRA, the Roth 401k, and the traditional 401k. And then last but not least, you also will have a health savings account. All of these accounts will have slightly different rules, regulations, contribution limits, etc. And they will work slightly differently. As an example, with a Roth IRA, you are contributing after tax money. So when you get your paycheck, and assuming your employer has taken some income tax already out of your paycheck, you can then take your money and put it into a Roth IRA. And the benefit to this is that all that money that you put into a Roth IRA is completely tax-free until retirement. And that's why the Roth IRA is generally what a lot of people will recommend maximizing first. If you compare that to the traditional IRA, the money that you put in is considered pre-tax, and that money actually reduces your taxable income for the year. But if you remove that money later on, you get taxed on it. To switch gears to Canada, because these two accounts are actually quite similar to Canadian accounts. In Canada, they're slightly different. There's the TFSA, or tax-free savings account. The TFSA is somewhat similar to the Roth IRA in that you put in post-tax money after your paycheck, you just deposit money into your TFSA, you buy your investments, and then that money is completely tax-free. And if you were to withdraw money from your TFSA, you don't pay any penalty. The RRSP, or the Registered Retirement Savings Plan, is more like the traditional IRA in that, again, you make some income, say $100,000, but then that year, if you put $10,000 into your RRSP, that reduces your taxable income for the year to $90,000. But again, if you were to remove that money from your RRSP, you're going to be paying tax that year that you remove it. For completion's sake though, I want to talk about two more accounts in Canada. There is the Registered Education Savings Plan, which is super valuable if you have kids or are planning to have kids, because that money can be withdrawn to pay for their education in the future. And then last but not least, there's a new account that was just added in the past few years, which is called the First Home Savings Account, or the FHSA, which is another tax-free account which allows you to withdraw that money if you're paying for your first home. I know this stuff is somewhat complex and it might be confusing, but these details, to be honest, are less important than the overall message, which is you want to maximize these accounts as quickly as possible. So while yes, in the United States, generally you want to maximize your Roth IRA first, and yes, in Canada, generally you want to maximize your TFSA first, this isn't always the case. And to be honest, the differences between which one you maximize first is way less important than the fact that you're maximizing and using these accounts at all. So really the main takeaway here is that you should be maximizing your tax-free accounts. And if you're struggling to decide which tax-free account to maximize, that is just a great problem to have. So all in all, the takeaway from this video is maximize your tax-free accounts. Firstly, find out which tax-free accounts you have available to you in your country, and then find out how much contribution room you have for those tax-free accounts. And then start putting money into these accounts. Now, last but certainly not least, a huge error I see a lot of people make with their tax-free accounts is they assume that they can just put cash into it and then it starts investing itself. And that's not how these accounts work. These accounts are like empty vessels. Yes, you first have to deposit cash from your bank account into these tax-free accounts, usually through some sort of brokerage like Wealthsimple in Canada or Robinhood in the United States, or through your bank. But once the cash is in these tax-free accounts, you then have to invest with that money. And that's really important because I've actually heard from some people where they deposited cash into these accounts and then left it for years and realized, wait, I put money in, but I just left it as cash. And so there's no capital gains on cash. If you put in $1,000 and in 5 years it's still $1,000, you didn't save any tax on that. So you have to invest that money once it's in the account. And that is exactly what we're gonna cover in level 4. And to be clear, I've broken this into levels because it's important that you do these things in order to maximize your investment period. I obviously don't think it's ideal that I have to break this up into 10, 15-minute videos, so I don't want to keep you waiting. Level 4 is all about how to do passive investing through index ETFs. If you want to go on Google and ask ChatGPT and start learning about index ETFs before I put out that video, I'm all for it. Please do go learn for yourself and understand these things, but I just want to let you know that is what level 4 is all about. How to use index ETFs to invest in a very simple, very easy manner that performs quite well. And then level 5, we will talk about active investing, the risks around trying to pick and choose your own investments, and the asset class that I've talked about before on this channel that outperforms every other asset class in the world. And spoiler alert, it is Bitcoin. So if you're interested in either of those topics, subscribe to Wealth Potion. I will be covering those over the coming weeks. And as always, let me know if you have any questions, if you have any feedback, if you disagree with anything that I've shared, post it in the comments, and I'd love to get the discussion going. Regardless, thank you for watching all the way through. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.